Good morning. Presenting the topic Diagnostic and Prognostic Value of Biomarkers in Acute Myocardial Infarction. Introduction. Biomarkers of cardiac injury have been used to diagnose acute myocardial infarction for over half a century. In 1954, Carmen et al. First reported the elevation of aspartate transaminase, that is AST. AST was the first cardiac biomarker to be used in clinical practice. But it became clear that AST had limited use as cardiac biomarker because of the lack of specificity for myocardial injury. In the following years, creatinine kinase, LDH, and CKMB were discovered, but they still lacked specificity. Rapid advances in discovery of troponins resulted in their discovery. Here we discuss the biomarkers discovered in recent years and focus on the diagnostic and prognostic value of acute myocardial infarction. So, taken from the article done by Tanindi and Semri, the characteristic of an ideal cardiac biomarker includes high sensitivity, high specificity, some analytical characteristics and clinical characteristics. So, the ideal cardiac biomarker should have a high sensitivity, that is a high concentration in the myocardium after injury, rapid release for early diagnosis, and long half-life in the blood for late diagnosis. High specificity means the biomarker should be absent in non-myocardial tissues and it should not be detectable in blood of non-diseased subjects. The analytical characteristics include measurable by cost-effective methods, like should be simple to perform, there should be a rapid turnaround time, and there should be sufficient precision and trueness to the test. Some clinical characteristics include ability to influence therapy and ability to improve the patient outcome. This is coming to the timeline of discovery of various biomarkers. The first biomarker to be discovered was in 1954, that is aspartate transaminase, which was first reported by Carmen et al. From the necrotic cardiac myocytes. Today we know that it is non-specific to cardiac tissue. But it paved the way for other researchers to determine the enzymatic activities in serum for other biomarkers. Particularly, lactate dehydrogenase application in acute myocardial infarction was described later and was found to be more sensitive than aspartate transaminase. That occurred about 10 years later. But later it was found that even LD was found to be seen in all the tissues. But later, when there was discovery of serum electrophoresis, the various isotypes, that is LD1 and LD2 were described, out of which LD1 was specific to the heart. Later, creatine kinase also was discovered along with AST and LD. Creatine kinase was in the mainstay for about 20 years. It was more sensitive and it was more ideal compared to AST and lactate dehydrogenase, wherein it appeared in the blood within 4 to 8 hours of myocardial infarction, and it was typically released during the Q wave of myocardial infarction, persisting for 18 to 24 hours after symptom onset, which gave an opportunity to diagnose MI within 24 hours. With development of electrophoresis again, various isoenzymes, as I said, were discovered. Among the 3 creatine kinase and 5 lactate dehydrogenase isoenzymes, LD1 and LD2 and their ratio was useful, but it was CKMB which showed the highest diagnostic accuracy for acute myocardial infarction. It accumulated for almost 22% of the total creatine kinase content of the myocardium instead of just 1 to 3% in the skeletal muscle. So, this discovery of CKMB in the 1980s changed the diagnostic accuracy of acute myocardial infarction. Later, cardiac troponins were discovered, which were more sensitive and more specific for the cardiac injury. And further, there were many neuroendocrine hormones which were discovered, which we will discuss later. Coming to the overview of cardiac biomarkers, they are divided typically into 4 categories. One is myocardial necrosis biomarkers, that is cardiac troponins, myoglobin, ischemia modified albumin, and heart-like fatty acid binding protein. There are other neuroendocrine biomarkers like B-type natriuretic peptide or NT-proBNP, adrenomedulin, renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, and inflammatory biomarkers like C-reactive protein, interleukin-6, procalcitonin, myeloperoxidase, CD40 and CD40 ligand. and some other markers like microRNAs, ST2 that is suppressor of tumorigenicity 2, GDF that is growth differentiation factor 15, and galectin 3. Taken from an article done by Dolce. This slide shows the pathophysiological interdependence of biochemical markers for the evaluation of cardiac disease. Coming at the level of coronary artery disease, we can assess for the risk factors such as cholesterol. Coronary inflammation can be assessed by measuring C-reactive protein. Plaque instability or disruption can be measured by choline or a pregnancy-associated protein A. Myocardial ischemia can be assessed by free fatty acids and hard-type fatty acid binding protein. Myocardial necrosis can be assessed by cardiac troponins, and ventricular overload can be assessed by B-type natriuretic peptides. Coming to the specific biomarkers which relate to the myocardial necrosis. Here we describe the cardiac troponins. Cardiac specific isoforms of cardiac troponins include cardiac troponin I and trop-T, which exist in the myocardial tissue, whereas trop-C is also seen in skeletal muscle, so it is not a specific marker. Troponins are important for actin-myosin interaction and regulation of cytoplasmic contractile function in response to calcium and protein phosphorylation. So this troponin complex is located in the along with the tropomyosin on the actin filament. According to the third universal definition of myocardial infarction, there should be detection of a significant elevation and decline in the serum troponin level in the serum with at least one value above the 99th percentile of the upper reference limit, and for the diagnosis of acute myocardial infarction. Acute myocardial infarction occurs following acute coronary occlusion or plaque rupture, and also it occurs secondary to ischemia from increased demand for or decreased supply of oxygen, coronary embolism, coronary artery spasm, arrhythmia, and hypertension. Hence, troponin levels may be upregulated in coronary disease and also in non-cardiac disorder. However, increase in patients with troponins are increased in patients with renal failure without symptoms of acute coronary syndrome, although they are at increased risk of cardiac abnormalities. The diagnostic value of troponins is that it is highly sensitive and specific, and that makes it the current gold standard for acute myocardial infarction diagnosis. Prognostically, it is an independent predictor of adverse events. Certain conditions which cause trop elevation are the non-cardiac conditions include chronic renal failure, advanced heart failure, cerebrovascular accidents like subarachnoid hemorrhage, ischemic cerebrovascular events, acute pulmonary embolism, COPD, strenuous exercise, and direct myocardial trauma. The cardiac causes for elevation other than acute coronary syndrome include acute pericarditis, acute inflammatory myocarditis, and tachycardia. Coming next to myoglobin. Myoglobin is a low molecular weight cytoplasmic heme protein that is most sensitive, conventionally assayed biomarker of acute myocardial infarction. It has lower specificity for cardiac necrosis than cardiac troponin I, and its expression may be upregulated in non-cardiac disorders like skeletal muscle disorders, disease or injury, and chronic renal disease. But despite the lack of cardiac specificity, combining myoglobin with troponin has improved the ability to identify those who are at risk of increased mortality from acute myocardial infarction. Myoglobin is primarily eliminated through kidneys, and again renal insufficiency is recognized as a predictor of adverse outcomes including mortality in patients with acute myocardial infarction. Coming to the diagnostic value, it's a sensitive marker which occurs early after the symptom, and it has a negative predictive value, but high negative predictive value, but lacks specificity. Prognostically, it is used to predict mortality in renal insufficiency patients. Coming next to ischemia modified albumin. In acute ischemia, the end terminus of albumin is altered. So thereby its binding capacity is reduced, and the resultant protein which is called as ischemia modified albumin. So in ischemia modified albumin, in combination with initial cardiac troponin T, it is more sensitive than the latter alone for predicting adverse cardiac events. The diagnostic value of this protein is less sensitive than cardiac troponin and lacks specificity. However, it is possibly predictive of the adverse events. Coming next to hard type fatty acid binding protein. This is a small cytoplasmic protein present in the cardiac myocytes that is similar to myoglobin. It is rapidly released in the circulation at the onset of myocardial injury owing to its low molecular weight and cytoplasmic localization. According to a study done by Agnello, it was found that early diagnosis of acute myocardial infarction was possibly based on measurement of this hard type fatty acid binding protein level. However, its expression is not cardiac specific. It was seen that high levels of this fatty acid binding protein was the best predictor of adverse events during the 1-year follow-up in patients with non-ST elevation MI among the markers of myocardial necrosis, such as other markers like cardiac troponin I and CKMB. Again, the expression is not cardiac specific, and it is detected at low levels in skeletal muscle injury and kidney diseases. And those with persistent elevation of this protein had the highest rate of cardiac events, including cardiac deaths and rehospitalizations. Its diagnostic value is that it is sensitive early after symptom onset, but it lacks specificity. It is used as a predictive marker for mortality. Coming next to neuroendocrine biomarkers, they include BNP, NT-proBNP, that is B-type natriuretic peptide. It's a hormone which is secreted by the cardiac myocytes in the heart ventricles in response to cardiac stress and ventricular dysfunction. BNP causes vasodilation, natriuresis, and inhibition of the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. BNP and NT-proBNP are upregulated after acute coronary syndrome. So elevation of BNP levels in patients with myocardial infarction were also found to be associated with myocardial infarct size. But increased BNP level at the initial presentation of patients with ST elevation MI was associated with impaired reperfusion after fibrinolysis and higher 30-day mortality. So elevated levels in renal insufficiency due to partial clearance of BNP and NT-proBNP is also seen. So again, in renal insufficiency patients, this is not specific. Diagnostically, these markers are neither sensitive nor specific, but although the levels are increased in patients with ACS, they cannot be used as diagnostic markers because they are elevated in other conditions which are with similar symptoms like heart failure and pulmonary embolus. And prognostically, they have a high predictive value of heart failure and mortality, and when they are measured 2 to 4 days after acute myocardial infarction, they independently predicted the left ventricular function and 1-year survival. So BNP and NT-proBNP were better at predicting the cardiovascular events than the TIMI score, that is thrombolysis and myocardial infarction score, or the Global Registry of Acute Coronary Events, that is GRACE risk score. Coming to adrenomedulin. Adrenomedulin is a cardiovascular regulatory peptide whose levels are increased in the serum of patients with cardiovascular disease. It attenuates the infarct development during acute myocardial injury and can potentially influence the pathological process in both acute phase of myocardial infarction and subsequent remodeling. Diagnostically, it is neither sensitive nor specific, but it has a prognostic value wherein it can possibly predict the adverse future cardiovascular events. Elevated adrenomedulin levels are indicative of cardiac remodeling, and it may improve the risk stratification in the future for heart failure and myocardial infarction. Coming next to renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, it is another neuroendocrine biomarker wherein which it is activated following acute myocardial infarction by the increased blood volume and vasoconstriction. Aldosterone, as we know, promotes a broad range of detrimental cardiovascular effects during acute MI. That is, it causes acute endothelial dysfunction, increased endothelial oxidative stress, cardiac myocyte necrosis, and myocardial hypertrophy and fibrosis. So, but it is not used in the diagnosis of MI because it is neither sensitive nor specific. But prognostically, it is not yet routinely used in clinical practice for that. But there are studies which have shown that treatment of patients with acute MI with inhibitors of this RAS system reduce the morbidity and mortality. For example, rates of death and heart failure in patients with acute coronary syndrome decreased by the administration of ACE inhibitors and ARBs and aldosterone inhibitors. Coming next to the inflammatory biomarkers, it includes C-reactive protein. C-reactive protein is an important, it's an acute phase reactant produced by the hepatocytes after stimulation by inflammatory cytokines, primarily interleukin-6, which is associated with increased cardiovascular risk in patients and established atherosclerosis. So CRP is an independent prognostic marker of recurrent non-fatal myocardial infarction or cardiac death. It also reflects the extent of myocardial injury in ST elevation MIs. The diagnostic value of C-reactive protein is that C-reactive protein was increased in patients with acute MI, suggesting that the circulating CRP is a potential diagnostic biomarker, but it is not considered to have sufficient specificity and sensitivity. The prognostic value includes that the that the C-reactive protein is a significant predictor of poor outcome. So plasma CRP level predicted major adverse events. Plasma CRP level predicted major adverse cardiac events in patients with ACS, and in other studies confirmed that a higher CRP level is associated with increased long-term risk of recurrent cardiovascular events or death. So serum concentration of high sensitivity CRP, that is hsCRP, is a more sensitive indicator of inflammation, which is closely related to plaque formation, and it is an independent prognostic marker in patients with acute coronary syndrome. It is recommended as a guide for treatment decisions, but however, CRP is unrelated to the occurrence of acute MI, and only cardiac troponin is useful for identifying patients who would benefit from an invasive strategy or antithrombotic treatment. So CRP will not help in the decision making for treatment of MI. Interleukin 6 and tumor necrosis factor, they are IL-6 and TNF-alpha are two major pro-inflammatory markers. IL-6 is involved in inflammatory cell activation and recruitment, and stimulates the liver to produce acute phase proteins such as CRP, while exerting a negative inotropic effect through myocardial nitric oxide synthase. The diagnostic value is that the circadian fluctuation of IL-6 levels and a lack of confirmatory studies have limited the use of this IL-6 as an effective biomarker of acute coronary syndrome. But it has a prognostic value wherein it is shown to be useful for predicting mortality in patients with acute coronary syndrome. TNF-alpha is another cardioinhibitory cytokine which is detected in several tissues including the endothelial cells, smooth muscle cells, and macrophages, that reduces the cardiac contractility either directly or via induction of nitric oxide synthase. But it is neither sensitive nor specific for MI. It is reported that the inflammatory cytokines including TNF-alpha and high sensitive CRP could predict the 6-month survival of patients with acute coronary syndrome. Coming next to procalcitonin, the peptide precursor of it is a peptide precursor of the hormone calcitonin, which is involved in calcium homeostasis. It can also be induced under inflammatory conditions. So PCT concentration was increased in patients with acute MI, and PCT has a prognostic value for predicting mortality of or other ischemic events. Coming next to the markers of plaque destabilization, that is, first is myeloperoxidase. Myeloperoxidase is a component of granules within the neutrophils. It plays a crucial role in inflammation of oxidative stress at the cellular level. So studies have shown that myeloperoxidase is inferior to current biomarkers for diagnostic purpose, but elevated levels independently predict the future risk of coronary artery disease in both patients with acute coronary syndrome and healthy individuals. So the baseline MPO has been shown to be an independent predictor of adverse cardiac events. A study done by Omran et al. Found that the use of baseline levels of 3 biomarkers in combination, that is myeloperoxidase, CKMB, and cardiac troponin I, could increase the early diagnostic accuracy of acute myocardial infarction. Another one of the markers for plaque destabilization is matrix metalloproteinases, which are a family of zinc-containing endoproteinases which play an important role in the physiology and pathology of cardiovascular system. So MMPs, in that particularly MMP9 is important in the collagen breakdown and structural changes associated with ventricular remodeling after myocardial infarction, and it is a distal biomarker for inflammation. But again, it is not sensitive or specific to MI, and prognostically it is possible to predict heart failure and mortality. Coming to markers of myocyte rupture, they include CD40 and CD40 ligand and placental growth factor. CD40 and CD40 ligand system is expressed on a variety of cell types. Studies suggest that elevated serum levels of soluble CD40 ligand identify patients with acute coronary syndrome at a higher risk of recurrent MI and death, independent of other prognostic biomarkers including troponin I and CRP. So the subgroup of patients who will benefit from antiplatelet treatment can be identified. Coming next to placental growth factor, it is associated with angiogenesis and vasculogenesis, which has been implicated in neovascularization in ischemic myocardium and promoting atherosclerosis. So higher concentration of platelet growth factor after acute coronary syndrome is associated with long-term risk of recurrent cardiovascular events independent of traditional risk factors. Other novel cardiac biomarkers include microRNAs. There are four cardiac enriched microRNAs, that is microRNA 208, 499, 1 and 133, which are consistently found to be increased in the plasma of patients with acute myocardial infarction. Diagnostically, concentrations of microRNA are microRNA 208B, microRNA 499 and 320A were significantly elevated in patients with MI. MicroRNA 92A and 181A were found as potential biomarkers for the diagnosis of MI, and the combination of microRNA 1, 21 and 499 had a higher diagnostic value than even high sensitive troponin T. The prognostic value includes that microRNAs may be more useful for risk stratification and can be used as prognostic biomarkers. Circulating microRNA 197 and 223 were identified as predictors of cardiovascular death in a large patient cohort with coronary artery disease. And some studies also found that microRNA 134, 328, 34A and 208B were associated with the development of heart failure and increased risk of mortality after MI. Coming next to another cardiac biomarker, that is suppression of tumorigenicity 2, that is ST2. It's a biomarker of cardiomyocyte stress and fibrosis, which has been shown to be induced in conditions of MI and acute heart failure, which causes myocardial overload. Studies have shown that the elevated levels of ST2 in patients with acute coronary syndrome but would not be a reliable diagnostic marker because of the lack of sensitivity and specificity. But ST2 was able to predict mortality and heart failure in patients with acute coronary syndrome. Coming next to growth differentiation factor 15, GDF. GDS are a protein subfamily belonging to the transforming growth factor beta superfamily. Among that, GDF15 increases during the acute tissue injury and inflammatory states, and it is associated with cardiometabolic risk. So, diagnostically, this circulating concentration of GDF15 is elevated in patients with MI, but it is not sensitive or specific to cardiac tissue. Also, it is independently it independently helps in predicting the mortality or a complete composite of death and non-fatal MI. It can be used for risk stratification by measuring both cardiac troponin and NT-proBNP along with GDP15 levels. Coming next to another novel cardiac biomarker, that is galactin-3 or GAL3. Galactin-3 is involved in cardiac fibrosis, inflammation and reconstruction processes, and several studies have shown that galactin-3 circulating levels are elevated in MI, but the data is insufficient to comment on sensitivity or specificity. So galactin-3 is associated with ventricular remodeling and elevated plasma. And elevated plasma galactin-3 levels are related to lower left ventricular ejection fraction. It is also suggested as a valuable predictive marker in patients with coronary artery disease and ischemic stroke. Coming next to the multi-biomarker approach. So, ideal biomarkers should show high sensitivity, especially in the first few hours of symptom onset, and a single troponin test may not provide sufficient sensitivity for early diagnosis because it is elevated after a delay, and even in the case of high sensitivity troponin, it is the same. So they have a delayed release wherein it cannot help in early diagnosis of MI. So distinct pathways in the complex pathophysiology of MI have been revealed by the identification of novel markers, but several studies have suggested that adding different biomarkers for the detection of MI can improve the diagnosis as well as prediction of short-term and long-term prognosis. So, for example, Kim et al. Confirmed that a combination of hsCRP and NT-proBNP had a greater value in predicting the short-term cardiac events in patients with ACS than either one alone. It was also demonstrated that combining biomarkers across the axis of myocardial stress, that is one marker which will suggest inflammation, another marker which can suggest myocyte necrosis, such combinations improve the prediction of cardiovascular death or heart failure. Other marker combinations include high fatty acid binding protein and cardiac troponin, which improve the early diagnostic use. Some other combinations include high fatty acid binding protein, NT-proBNP, cardiac troponin T, then IL-10, myeloperoxidase, placental growth factor, and cardiac troponin T. And coming next is suppressive tumorigenicity 2, GDF15, HFA-BP, and high sensitive TROP-T have been proposed as prognostic aids, but they need further prospective research. Various arguments have been made against the multi-biomarker approach. For example, Feistreister found that the predictive value of HS TROP-T was not further improved when combined with CK or HSCRP or LDH, AST or ALT. And others have demonstrated that once a single strong predictor of risk, such as cardiac troponin, is included in the combination, then it is difficult to quantify the contribution of other markers to predictive models. So the relative risk relationships for individual biomarkers and specific endpoints differ, which can introduce the variability in the risk assessment and influence therapeutic decision making. Lastly, the incidence of acute MI has been increasingly rapid in recent years, and cardiac biomarkers play critical roles in the diagnosis and prognosis of MI. So the multi-biomarker approach can increase the diagnostic accuracy and provide more information for the risk stratification of MI. These were the references. Thank you.